Amanda, if you want to take it away for us and do a little intro. Welcome back, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here. This is really exciting to have some co-hosts on today. So super excited about that. We're really glad that you guys have joined us today for Make Better Business Decisions with Google for our Google series. We do these every first Wednesday of the month, and it's always with Dave Myers, so we get really lucky to have him continuously. Our sponsors today for Grow Nebraska is the Grow Nebraska Women's Business Center, the Nebraska Enterprise Fund, Nebraska Business Development Center, and Nebraska Rural Prosperity. So thank you to them. And then our co-hosts today are Jamestown Regional Entrepreneur Center and Beaver Dam Chamber as well. So Dave, I will let you go ahead and take it away so we can learn more about Google Analytics.
All right, thank you. And I'm going to take over screen sharing as well. So everyone hold on to your horses and we will get started. And let's go to desktop 3 on my little aircraft carrier of a computer here. So welcome everyone. We are going to be talking about how to make better business decisions with Google Analytics. Special thank you to Grow Nebraska, of course, for hosting, and also our co-host, the Beaver Dam Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Jamestown Regional Entrepreneurship Center in North Dakota. So thank you so much for everyone for hanging out with me today and for learning how to improve your business and your work through measurement. As I've said a number of times, and if you've heard me talk at all before, I usually say, if you're not measuring, you're not marketing. And what's the other benefit of measuring is that it really helps you to make decisions that you otherwise might not be privy to. So we all like to make decisions based on gut, based on what we know, based on who we know, and interactions that we may have had with our customers. But they might not be telling you the whole story. And what I like to say, actually, Niall Fitzgerald likes to say, the former chairman of Unilever, is that data makes your briefcase heavy, but insights make you rich. By insights, we're talking about the things that you get from massive amounts of data. Data is not the problem anymore. If we want information, all you need to do is go to Google Analytics and visit and see everyone that's visited your website, not the actual people, of course, but kind of rounded up kind of who they are from an age and demographics perspective, from a location perspective, and probably more importantly, what they're doing on your website. But that's just data. That's just patterns. That's just things that you see on a screen. It's the insights that you get when you look at that data and make real decisions that I want to focus on for you today. This is an interactive chat. You're welcome to use either the Q&A feature on the Q&A tool, or to use the chat feature to ask specific questions today. And we'd love to have your interactions. We're going to have questions because as we dig into Google Analytics and as we dig into some of the reports, and especially when we get a little deeper into how all of these things work, I'm sure you're going to have questions. So please feel free to ask those questions as we go through and to not be shy, because this is your time. So what we learn as we look at insights is that there needs to be a few specific criteria met before insights are actually useful to us. They, of course, need to be novel. And by novel meaning it's not something that I would have already expected. And so something slightly surprising, slightly different than I may have expected. It needs to be credible, of course. So having your uncle's, cousin's, sister's, nephew sharing something with you isn't nearly as interesting or helpful as getting real hard data from Google Analytics on how many people are visiting your website. And then, of course, it needs to be actionable. And by actionable, I mean that it needs to be something that you can actually impact. And we're going to go through a few ways that you can define actionable insights. But really, if you can actually take a next step as part of your business, then it's actionable. And so we need to think about the right kinds of questions And I'm going to share a few questions that you should be asking as you're collecting reports and as you're using analytics to make those decisions. So let's define a few terms. As we go through this, I've already delved into this a little bit, but data, as we look at the content inside of our presentation and in measuring to make business decisions, this is the information that you obtain from your users. This is demographic information, their behavior, their activity on your website, the form fills that you get on your site, the calls that you receive. Analytics are the patterns and trends that you discover from your data. It's how you make sense of the data and uncover meaningful trends. And then insights are the value that you gain from data and analytics. Insights, again, should be actionable and prescriptive. In other words, we should know what to do next. As an example, let's assume you have an e-commerce website. Number of us do, and I know that the Grow Nebraska website often supports members with e-commerce support as well. So data would show you on your e-commerce website that you maybe had 1,500 visits in the past 30 days. Analytics would show that 30% of the people that accessed your site came from mobile devices. And then insights would reveal that visitors using mobile devices are 60% more likely to actually complete a purchase. Aha, there's an insight. But if you're new to data and analytics, the reports can be overwhelming. So I'm going to take you through a few levels of analytics on the Google side and give you a few other tips of the trade in order to get the most out of SMART goals and how to set the right agenda and content for your data gathering and decision-making needs. Let's get started. The agenda for today, of course, is to give you an overview on how to make business decisions with analytics, and that goes, of course, into what Google Analytics is. We're going to share the differences between universal analytics, or the analytics that has been around for a long time, and if you've set up your Google Analytics prior to October of 2021, that's the analytics that you probably have. And then also Google Analytics 4. Google Analytics 4 has been getting a lot of press lately because it is the go forward version of Google Analytics. It's slightly different and it handles data in just a little bit different way. And so I'm going to share with you the differences between the two. And we're actually going to take the steps and show you how to get started with Google Analytics 4 so that you're ready by the official cutoff, which is a year from July this year. So in July of next year, Google Analytics, Universal Analytics will be sunset in favor of Google Analytics 4. And so I want to make sure that you're ready and that you've already got both versions running so that when Universal goes away, you're completely set. We're going to show you how to find answers with reports. And there's a lot that goes into setting up the right kinds of reports. I'm going to lean mostly on the reports and information that you get from Google Analytics 4 because that's the go forward version. But then we're also going to go into some advanced features of measurement for your business. And those specifically are going to be dimensions, segments, and a couple other fun things that you can do inside of Google Analytics. I promise it's going to be interesting and a little bit heady at times, but I'm going to try my best to make sure that it's accessible and that you're actually getting what you need, because once you start talking about dimensions, segments, and some of those other things that you can do inside of reports and apps, it can get a little weird. But again, that's where I want you to please ask questions. So as we go through, we're going to hit that. And then, of course, I'm going to have some time for Q&A. Please be sure, again, to use the Q&A tool or the chat tool inside of the Zoom webinar tools. And I'm going to be keeping an eye on those as we go through today. Let's get officially started. So let's start with the basics. What is Google Analytics? Well, for sure, it's an incredibly powerful tool. And it happens to be one of the many free tools that Google makes available to webmasters, anyone that has an interaction or an app online that they need information from. You can use Google Analytics to understand the behavior that people take on either your website or your mobile entity. Might be a mobile app, might be something else. Google Analytics can help you learn about customers, give you demographics like how old they are, where they are physically, their interests. Are they more interested in DIY projects or like health and fitness or something else? It can help you understand behavior on your website. Are they going to your checkout page and then leaving without purchasing? So something might be weird inside of your checkout process. And you can see how customers are finding you. Is your search engine optimization spot on? And so people are searching for your products, your services, or your business on Google and going to your website. And or you can see what the sources of your data or of your visitors are doing as far as the actual things that you're trying to achieve. To put it a different way, are people from phones responding on social media posts more likely to purchase? Or are people that search for you on Google more likely to purchase? Or maybe are people that are just typing in your exact customer or your website more likely to connect and to add things? So we can see how they find it, and then you can track and record important actions. This is super easy if you're an e-commerce website. If you have a specific purchase on your site, that makes it very easy to interact and to connect. But all businesses, whether they're B2B, whether they're nonprofit, whether they're some other type of organization, have specific things that they need to get out of any website. And so we're going to talk about that as well. So analytics delivers insights that help you make strategic decisions. You can look at your audiences and your insights and learn which search terms and sources drive the most traffic. You might have a high bounce rate, or someone might be visiting your website and then leaving that page without doing anything else. To folks that I meet when I'm just talking about this at cocktail parties, a bounce rate is like when you walk into the wrong room and you realize that you don't know anyone and you leave again. So if you're not doing enough to get people to take some next physical step, you might have a high bounce rate. You can learn what demographic information is for your most profitable customers. We're going to talk about some examples in a few moments, but you may think that your audience trends either younger or older than they actually are. And that might include specific language that if you're trying to reach a younger demographic and you think that that's who you're reaching, but instead you're reaching a slightly older group, having deals or information about, buy one, get one, or after school discounts might be a completely lead balloon for your audience, and they might keep scrolling on. You can understand what content your audience is most interested in, and you can look at the specific kinds of posts that you make. Maybe your videos are much more likely to convert into actual customers or into some next step than the advertising that you're doing or than the blog posts that you're making. And of course, you can evaluate which channels are driving the most conversions. Knowing where your traffic comes from and what drives conversions on your site will help you make smarter advertising, content, and design decisions about your site. To start collecting basic data from your website or your app, first create or sign in to your Google Analytics account. I've listed the address here. It's g.co/analytics. If you're just getting started, you're going to see Google Analytics 4. But if you already have an account and or if someone in your organization has already set up an account and you've gotten access to that analytics account, you might see a slightly different interaction. If you don't have an account yet, click Start for Free. It's the big blue button that's highlighted on screen here. And then you can set up a property in your analytics account. A property is, for most people, just a website address. But if you have an app that you're measuring or tracking, it might be that or some other tool or web property. Again, I've mentioned this once, but Google Analytics 4 launched in 2020. And so everyone that came before that, specifically in October 2021, Google Analytics 4 is the primary recommended solution. And there's a slightly different way to interact with Google Analytics depending on which one you're on. And as I mentioned, as of July of next year, Google Analytics 4 is going to be the only version of analytics. And so you want to know about it and start playing with it now. If you have Google Analytics set up already, you may need to add Google Analytics 4. Here's how to do that. You're logged in with your Google ID. You want to go to the setup page on your site. This is under admin. And then right up at the top under the middle section or the middle column is Google Analytics 4 Setup Assistant. I've highlighted it and given you a big balloon right here, but this is where you want to go. You simply click admin in the left nav bar, then go to GA4 Setup Assistant, and then follow the prompts and a wizard will set you up. It could take up to 30 minutes for data to begin appearing in your new Google Analytics 4 property. If you can't use the Setup Assistant for some reason, there's detailed instructions in the Google Analytics Help Center. And again, that's available inside of Help. And so you would simply go to the little question mark in the upper right-hand corner. And I don't have it highlighted here, but it's in the upper right-hand corner of this screenshot. And then follow the support prompts. You can actually use a chat, and there's some bots that'll help you to get where you need to go. Or you can, of course, follow the link that I've included here, support.google.com/analytics. The first topic on that page is migrate from Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4, and it has a massive repository of information that will answer almost all of your questions. So go ahead and log into that, and no matter which version of analytics you use, today's workshop is going to help you, but the focus is going to be on making business decisions, and you can find those answers via both versions of our software. Once you've created or signed into Google Analytics, you'll see a dashboard and links to a variety of reports. Reporting lets you visualize data about your users and their behavior across the website or mobile app that you're tracking. Default reports answer common reporting questions, but you can customize the reports to fit your specific business objectives. Reports shown in this screenshot is displayed when you click Reports in the left navigation. You can set any overview report to be that snapshot. The right side of the reports highlights the feature called Analytics Intelligence. Analytics Intelligence uses machine learning to help you better understand and act on your data, and it simplifies the process of creating reports. For example, you can type in questions in plain English and get fast automated answers. You might want to know which channel had the highest goal conversion rate. You simply type that in, and Analytics Intelligence will show you a list of channels ranked by their conversion rate. Analytics Intelligence gets smarter over time as it learns the type of questions that you're interested in. Another way to use this is to analyze your data and surface insights on major changes or opportunities. For example, it could point out that a certain landing page is performing better than others. Now that you know how to set up Google Analytics and you've set up Google Analytics 4 if you already have Universal, let's dive into what you can learn from those reports. In order to do that, I want to introduce you to a fictional tag team, a small e-commerce group of titans called Ava and Ricky. They sell apparel through their online store. Again, these guys are fictional. I'm going to be sharing examples of Google Analytics reports, but they are not actually for Ava and Ricky. It's for a Google property that we manage. And so we're going to give you the data and we're going to show you, but this isn't an actual team. So Google and Ava and Ricky have set up Google Analytics to get a better understanding of what is and isn't working on their online store. They want to make more strategic business decisions. Suppose they want to sell a new t-shirt on their online store. They experiment with some new designs. They really liked one of the prototypes, and immediately they added it to their website. Gut instinct tells them this new design was destined to be a bestseller with their assumed target audience, which is women aged 35 to 44. Sometimes making decisions on gut works, but it's always better to base decisions and actions on real data. Even decisions that seem to turn out well may see improved results with the right data to guide your actual strategy. Ava and Ricky can probably tell if their new design is selling or not selling based on sales. But without data, they're missing out on a lot of really useful information. Worse, they could make incorrect assumptions about what is or is not working and make decisions that could jeopardize their own success. If a new shirt wasn't selling, they might assume that the new design was a flop and cut prices. But without collecting data, they can't really know what's happening or not happening on their site. And without data, they don't have information about the customers who are viewing that new item, that shirt either. This is where Google Analytics comes in. The data from reports can help Ava and Ricky learn more about their site visitors and what they're doing and not doing well to help them make better decisions. So how do you figure it out? First, you outline goals for your specific organization. And most times, business owners that I talk to get too far down the revenue side of goals. I just want to make more money. What we're going to help you with is how to break down a goal into something that's actually actionable and useful so that you can slice and dice it into something that you can actually make adjustments on. And then we're going to ask specific questions that tie into the kinds of answers that I'm looking for. And it'll be making more sense by the time we get done with the conversation. And then finally, we're going to look at reports in order to find those right answers. So let's start with goals. You want to start with your outcome in mind. What do you want to happen? Of course, all business owners, all nonprofits want more of something. They might want more business. They might want more revenue. They might want more interactions or more volunteers. So what do you want? And then you have to take small steps backward until you get to something that's actually actionable. And so you want to make sure that those goals are SMART. Specific, are they detail oriented, and do they actually line something very definitive up? I want more visitors to a specific page or more purchases for this particular product. That's something specific. Measurable, I want people to feel better about my company, isn't measurable. I want more of something, sort of measurable, but not really. If you say, I want more sales, and I give you $1, technically you've just made that goal, right? So it needs to be measurable in a meaningful way. It needs to be attainable. You might want $1 billion in new sales, but if you're just getting started with your first $1,000, that might not be attainable right now. And of course, it needs to be relevant and of course, time sensitive. Relevant, I mean, it needs to be something that's directly related to your business. For Ava and Ricky to want to be the preeminent podcasters in the Midwest and to have that be part of their goal, if they're just trying to make more sales for t-shirts, isn't exactly relevant to what they're looking for, right? So they want more visits to their website that result in conversions. And then time sensitive, of course. So you need to say over the next month, which is usually a good option, might be the next week if you're very on the ball with your measurement, or it might be over a quarter. A lot of times people say over the next year as a time frame, but years are tricky because if you wait an entire year and you miss your goal, you're a whole year behind. That's why I like at least monthly as a time frame, because it gives you enough time to get some real data, but enough definition inside of that time to actually make changes and to course correct and still achieve what you're looking for. So let's look at what Ava and Ricky's SMART goal is. They want to decrease shopping cart abandonment to under 60% in the next quarter. That's okay. I would like probably shopping cart abandonment's a little bit broad. I would say shopping cart abandonment for a specific kind of content or for a specific kind of product. They look at their numbers, and right now they calculate their abandonment rate. It's about 65%. To reach their goal, they might experiment with modifications to the checkout process. Having the right content is pretty helpful and pretty interesting. And so, one second. So to get the right information, you want to take a look and see if you're actually accomplishing those SMART goals. So for all of us on screen. And again, if you want to enter in either via the Q&A tool or via chat, feel free to enter in a SMART goal for your business, for your organization. Is it to get more of something? If you're a B2B business, the thing that most companies are looking for are leads, and those are sales opportunities with specific people. It might be appointments. Of course, it might be sales, especially if you're an e-commerce organization. It might be phone calls or foot traffic if you're a restaurant or a storefront. It might be downloads if you're an app, and there's many, many more. So feel free, if you want to play along, I will actually help to tune up your SMART goal if you decide you want to share. But think about, for your business, what is the thing that you really need? And again, remember to make it smart, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So let's go through, once you've written down your goal, what we can do. And in order to get that action, we want to ask a few questions. These are the 4 questions that Google Analytics and all business measurement really needs to attack. Reach questions, understand or identify who your audience is. And I'm going to show you a few relevant reports to help you get to reach. Next, engage. Can people actually find what they're looking for? And is your communication, is your marketing, is your website drawing them in? Convert is super easy. Are they becoming customers? Are they filling out forms? Are they calling you? Are they going to your checkout page? And then sustain. Are your customers actually loyal and taking that next step? One note, I have someone on that's not muted. If you could please be sure to mute. We're getting a little bit of feedback. And so go ahead and mute, please. But let's get into those questions. For reach, what information are people trying to connect with? For Ava and Ricky, their reach questions might be, what are people searching for on their website? Who is their actual audience? Again, they're assuming that they're trying to reach women ages 25 to 34. And how are they finding us online? Questions like these are important because if potential customers can't find their business online, then of course they can't place online orders. Based on what they're learning, Ava and Ricky might find clues that lead them to examine their website and communication strategy and to make some adjustments. Engage questions are more about what people do once they find you. So reach is who they are, engage is what they're doing. What are they doing once they get to my website? Are they going right to the About Us page? Are they going to try to buy and then something's happening where they're abandoning their shopping carts? Where are they engaging with you online? Are they searching for you via Google search? Are they responding to ads? Are they responding to social media posts or YouTube videos? What's happening in order to get there? And how are people actually interacting? Think about other engage questions Ava and Ricky might ask. Could they easily find their products when they find us? Do people create accounts at checkout, or are people downloading coupons? And then finally, convert and sustain. So convert questions are what's actually making things happen. Convert questions help you find out if you're actually achieving the goals that you set out. If you're looking for a decreased abandonment rate, you need to have more people that don't abandon your cart, right? So what channels are most successful at that? Is it, again, Google search or Google ads? Is it blog posts? Is it something else that you're doing that's driving the most conversions? And or is it a specific kind of device? We identified earlier that mobile devices might be much more likely to result in actual sales or conversions than non-mobile or PCs. And so then you want to make sure that you're optimizing or maximizing your mobile experience. And what channels, of course, are having the highest ROI or return on investment. My blogs seem to be converting much higher than anywhere else. So I want to make sure that I'm going there and doing what I need. So that's incredibly helpful. And then finally, sustain. You want to keep people coming back for more. You want to engage and encourage loyalty. It's 10 times easier to make an additional sale or get an additional interaction with someone who already knows you than it is to find someone that's never heard of you before. So how are you continuing to re-engage with those people? Are you offering coupons, or do you have a customer team that reaches out to people, or a newsletter that sends folks updates? If they send you a review or have a concern with your product or service, are you responding? And how quickly is that happening? And are you giving people reasons to come back? This is kind of tricky when you're a real estate professional. Once someone buys a house, they're probably not buying another house for the next 7 years or so on average. But if you offer tips and tricks for how to get the most out of your particular community, people are going to interact with that. And that keeps you top of mind so that people can refer you for more business later. All right, once you've started mapping out the questions, it's time to figure out where to find those answers. This is where we're going to start getting our hands dirty. This is going to be super fun. And we're going to go through specific Google Analytics reports. We're going to go through real-time reports, what's happening right now, acquisition, where are they coming from, engagement, how are they interacting, monetization, what are they actually purchasing, retention, how frequently are they engaging, and demographics. Of course, we want to know who those people are, again, in the aggregate. You don't know if it's Bob from down the street, but you do know if it's a person that meets Bob's specific demographics. 45-year-old man who is in Kearney, Nebraska, and interested in arts and crafts. So here's an example report in Universal Analytics, and I'm going to show you the same report in Google Analytics 4 in a second. But in general, if you set up your Google Analytics before October of 2020, you probably see reports like these. This is Universal Analytics, and some of those reports that you can find in Analytics are available right down the side. You can see real-time, audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. So real-time, of course, is useful to monitor activity as it's physically happening. If you have a promotion or something where you're live right now on YouTube or on the radio or something, you want to make sure that people are actually able to see your content. And in this case, 29 people are on this website. Audience, for insight into characteristics of your users, where they are, how often and how long they engage with your content, and which devices are most popular. Are they more often using iPhones or Androids, or Chromebooks or Macs, or whatever that might be? Acquisition, how people are finding you, whether it's Google search, advertising, or a social media or direct link. And conversion, is your website or app successful? Again, I promised I would show you Google Analytics 4, and here's the difference. So let's start with real-time reports in Google Analytics. You can see that the display is a little bit prettier. It's more streamlined toward user experience. And so a lot of users that are migrating from Universal to Google Analytics 4 are finding that it's a lot easier to use because it's more graphically dense and informative at a glance. A lot less text, for example. So some of the reports let you monitor activity on your site. The real-time content lets you see the number of users during the last 30 minutes, and that's listed on a per minute basis. Users by source, medium, or campaign. In other words, where those people are coming from. Users or new users, so who is coming to your website for the very first time, or who is coming that's been here before. And users by page title or screen name, what content they engage with. Are they going to your checkout page and then leaving? Or are they hitting your About Us page and then going to your Contact Us page? And then, of course, conversions. With real-time reports, you can immediately and continuously monitor the effects that those campaigns are having on your traffic. If you have an ad campaign running, or if you're running something, or if you're doing an event, you want to make sure people are actually able to see it. And for example, if Ava and Ricky had a chance to showcase their new t-shirt on a popular TV show, they want to know if it had an impact with online activity and sales. And if all goes well, of course, they're hopefully going to sell a lot of shirts. Next, acquisition. If you go down the screen, acquisition, when you click on these, there's drop downs for other details. I'm highlighting the review section, which is the overview. You can see users and new users and everyone who's visited your site, including both new and returning. Traffic acquisition. This shows data about new sessions. The traffic dimensions like medium, which is the referring channel, for example, cost per click or advertising, and the source, where people were before they arrived on your website, helped to understand how users arrived to your website. And the report includes the word session to indicate that traffic dimensions are about new sessions. For example, session medium is the channel by which new and returning users arrive on your site or app. This information can help you understand how effective your marketing is being. Third, engagement. These reports help you measure user interactions on your website or mobile app. Engagement includes more than page views. For example, you can measure when users check an account balance inside of the customer information page, scroll down a page slowly to indicate that they're reading your content. If you have a long blog post, you want to see if they're actually reading it or simply skimming down to the bottom. View product details or spending time on a particular product page, watching informational videos, and much more. You can also see engaged sessions shown on screen here are a collection of events that a user triggers inside of a time frame. An engaged session is one that either lasts 10 seconds or longer, has one or more conversion events, they click on something or get scrolled down to the bottom of a page slowly, or have 2 or more page views. If you have an e-commerce website or app, you probably use monetization reports. This tells you if people are buying your stuff. It lets you measure purchase, ad, and subscription revenue and see how users interact with items such as the products you sell, and measure steps at the checkout funnel. These reports help you understand consumer behavior and enhance your monetization strategy. This is where Ava and Ricky are spending their time because they're looking at what their abandonment rate is. And so we're looking to see if they're getting there and then they're actually purchasing or not. Retention reports help you understand how frequently and for how long users engage with your website or mobile app after their first visit. In other words, are people coming back? When are they coming back? How long? And what are they doing? So are new visitors tending to go right to the purchase page, and return visitors are looking around on your website a little bit more? Maybe they're looking for support for a specific product or service that you have supported. So retention can be very important in seeing how well you're engaging and continually reconnecting with people that matter most to your business. And then, of course, demographics. Demographics help you classify your users by age, location, language, and gender, along with interests they express through their online browsing and purchasing activities. Reports include interactive charts, diagrams, and tables to help you visualize the data. One last side note, as online services, including analytics, move away from cookies, demographic insights are becoming slightly less reliable. But true first-party data, how people are navigating your site directly, not demographics modeled via other site behavior, is becoming more important. And this is the information that you can find inside of Google Analytics. So again, Ava and Ricky thought that their best audience was 25 to 34. Looks like they nailed it there. But they thought it was women, and it turns out that more folks, 63% in fact, of the visitors to their website are tending to be male. So they might want to adjust the sizes or the styles of that t-shirt in order to match what people are trying to reach. Also notice here that they have interests listed. So media and entertainment fans, shoppers, technology enthusiasts, food and dining, sports and fitness, news and politics, media and entertainment, or TV lovers. So I might want to do posts or run ads designed to interact with those kinds of people in order to make more sales or order to attract more people in to my business. Again, we started talking about gut instinct versus data. So if we look back at our theoretical couple, Ava and Ricky, They thought their audience was 35 to 44-year-old and primarily female, but they found out that it's actually 25 to 34-year-old males is their primary audience, about 65%. The primary driver of traffic they thought was paid ads, but they discovered instead that their organic search was actually much stronger. Their SEO is working better for conversions. That means that they should probably reconfigure or analyze what they're doing in their ads. Maybe their ads aren't specific enough, or maybe they're not targeted at the right people. And so they're losing money, or some of the money that they're spending on ads isn't as effective as it could be. And so, of course, they want to keep up with organic search because that's working best. And most purchases for Ava and Ricky, they thought were from repeat customers, but they found that first-time visitors were actually much more likely to purchase again, or to purchase, than someone that's coming back to their website. Bottom line, without data, you're simply guessing. Google Analytics can help you take the guessing out of the equation. Now, we've gone a ways into our presentation, and I want to get a little bit more technical now and talk about some advanced features. This is your shot, of course, to ask those questions. If you have questions, you can go into the Zoom webinar control panel and hit either chat or Q&A and go ahead and ask me those questions, and I'll make sure to take them in turn. And as a reminder, this event is being recorded. And so everyone that subscribed or signed up for today's event is going to be getting both an email with the replay, and you can go to the Grow Nebraska website, to the YouTube channel, and watch that video again if you missed something and you want to come back for more. All right. Dimensions is one of the first things that I want to talk about, and it sounds more complicated than it is. If you've already set up analytics, you've been using dimensions all along and didn't know it. Dimensions simply describe data. For example, the dimension of city describes the city where the user's session originates. Values could be Atlanta, Seattle, Kearney, Nebraska, like Albany, New York, or somewhere in Wisconsin or North or South Dakota. Could be anywhere. Each report includes a primary dimension, which is a lens from which you can view the data, but sometimes you want to dig deeper. That's where secondary dimensions come into play. These allow you to layer on another dimension to get a more in-depth view of the data you're analyzing. So you could have the primary dimension of city as Nebraska, or as Kearney, Nebraska, and then layer on a secondary dimension like browser or device. This will allow you to see how many visitors from Grow Nebraska around the actual area of the headquarters are visiting, and which browsers or phones they're using to access your site. This might be incredibly helpful if you're trying to optimize for a particular experience, and you note that someone is needing or is doing something that you really want them to do, like buying in a particular segment or dimension. So again, secondary dimensions are useful features that help you interpret specific reports. Secondary dimensions let you limit the data displayed and applies only to the current visualization of your data. In other words, it temporarily changes the view of the report that you're looking at. You can use dimensions to exclude internal traffic or traffic from particular geographies, or include only users in specific age brackets. To add a secondary dimension, you navigate to the report that you're interested in examining. At the top of each table of data, look for the plus symbol. It's very easy to see here. A little bit, you have to know where you're clicking, which is why I've highlighted it in here. And then when you hit plus, secondary dimensions will pop up. So I'm in source medium, and then I'm adding plus, and then I'm looking for custom, and then page location, page title, page URL. So I could say everyone that was attending this event and that went to the checkout page, for example. So you can click to expand the options, and the report will change to reflect the review, that view. You can remove that by clicking the X symbol next to that dimension, which will reset the report to the default view. Next, segments. Another way to interpret reports is to create specific segments or buckets. Segments help you analyze and understand the trends of your business by setting up subsets of data. You can use them to isolate data, analyze performance, and respond to the trends that you see. For example, Ava and Ricky might want to see if visitors from a particular country are buying their t-shirts. They could use segment overlap technique that's available from Explorations tab, and then they can compare up to 3 user segments to see how those segments overlap and relate to each other. They may want to know if users from a specific country, segment 1, buy t-shirts, segment 2, on mobile devices, segment 3. So you do the overlap report, and it tells you that 45 people from the US bought a specific kind of t-shirt on a phone. Digging into segments can help you uncover insights that you're looking for and make sure that they're novel, credible, and actionable enough to unlock those new opportunities. Explorations is accessed from the left navigation, and from here you can set up segments and dimensions, plus quickly perform specific searches for pages or kinds of content or demographics. You can easily configure and switch between reports. You can sort and drill down into your data. And this is where it gets really fun, by the way, once you're adding things and you can see where everything is overlapping. And you can share explorations with other users who have access to this analytics account and export the exploration data for use in other tools. So if you have a CRM and you want to know how successful a specific thing has been, or to do ROI reports on social media, you can put in, here's all of the visitors that we got from YouTube, and here's how many conversions that we got out of those specific visits on our site. And then you can draw actual money to anything that you're doing on a specific channel. Now, this is easy-ish, and there's another way to get even better results inside of your content. So as you're looking, you want to think about how you're getting, for example, advertising revenue and how that's trafficking into specific purchases. So with Google Ads, I can see how many people are clicking on my ads. But once you tie together analytics in Google Ads, you can see what people are actually doing after they click. So linking Google Ads and Google Analytics helps you to learn what happens after users click your ad. It helps you understand where they go and how likely they are to actually complete whatever required action that you're looking for, whether it's a purchase or a form fill or clicking the call us button or the map button to navigate to your website or to your physical location. Second, you can target specific user types based on their previous behavior, new versus returning. And by linking Google Analytics and ads, you can define customer groups by activity on website. So you can identify the audience who has put 3 or more items in their shopping cart, but abandoned it. By offering this group a temporary promotion, you may be able to convince them to follow through on the transaction instead of just leaving your site. And third, you can better understand your paid traffic and if certain keywords do or do not convert. By linking Google Ads with analytics, you'll learn if clicks on your ads translate into conversions on your site, plus all the great other information that Google Analytics can help you learn about, like who are they, what kinds of people are you reaching, where are you reaching them from, much more information than you would get out of just Google Ads. It's super easy to link Google Ads and Google Analytics. Here's the step. You simply go into your account, you head into the admin section of analytics, and then you want to go over to connect under the property column. The process for each product will vary slightly, but they all involve putting or selecting the account you want to link into your Google Analytics account. As a pro tip, make sure that you're registering all of your Google products under the same account or email address to make linking accounts easier. And you don't have to have one core account, but you should definitely make sure that you're logging in from the same thing in order to make this as simple as possible, or add users to match that person or that account in order to make sure that everything syncs up. So we don't have any questions yet, but that's completely fine. If you do have something that you want, if you're able to talk, feel free to unmute and ask that question. If you want to ask via chat or via Q&A. I would love to have that. While we do that, I'm going to go through a couple other resources and log into some recap and give you some additional details. Remember, what you want to do in order to get better business results is have specific goals. Those goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based, and something that actually applies to your business. You know, if you're trying to sell more t-shirts, setting up and having a goal as being a preeminent podcaster or a videographer or a YouTube star might not be an actual attainable or realistic or relevant goal. Make sure that you're asking the right questions, reach, engage, convert, and sustain to make sure that you're actually growing your business, and choose those right tools. Make sure that you're using Google Analytics. If you haven't yet set up Google Analytics 4, make sure that you add a Google Analytics 4 property. And if you haven't tied your advertising yet to Google Analytics, make sure that you do that through the easy step that I showed you. You simply go in and add it under property. And then, of course, remember to measure results, but take specific actions. You're not going to get anywhere unless you actually try to do something. And so make small bets. Look at what you're doing. Simply choose something and make sure that you're moving the needle in the right direction. Everything else takes care of itself from there. I did hear a little bit of background. So do we have specific questions from the folks online that can talk? Fantastic. I'm going to go through a couple of additional resources then, and we might get you out of here a little earlier than the top of the hour. If you'd like small little nuggets of helpful information, check out g.co/primer. This is going to lead you to a page that'll get you to the download for the Primer app that's available on Google Play for Android devices or the App Store for Apple's iPhones and all that stuff. This is practical, personalized next steps. There's a 3-step lesson on how to set up Google Analytics. There's another quick lesson on how to activate Google Analytics 4 from within Universal Analytics. Or there's lots of tips and tricks on setting up YouTube channels, advertising to show up better in search results, or even to optimize your listing, your Google business listing inside of Google Maps. There's amazing career certificates and scholarships for US businesses available at this page. If you have a page or if you have a group of employees that are looking to grow their skills, this is a fantastic opportunity for you to offer free resources to your employees, to your members, if you're a nonprofit or an organization like the Beaver Dam Chamber or like the JREC, or of course, Grow Nebraska. And you can get access to those. There's up to $100,000 per business in scholarships available inside of that tool. It's super, super fun. Joy asked a question, if I can touch on how to switch from Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4, and I'll do that in just a moment. Thanks for that question, Joy. Remember, there's lots of other free tools and things available at google.com/grow. And so if you go there, whether you're a teacher, business, job seeker, or a developer, there's lots more information here. Per Joy's question, though, I want to go back to our using information into Google Analytics. So I'm going to back up here and show you how to set up Google Analytics. First, of course, you need to go into Google Analytics, and that's at g.co/analytics. And then in order to start with Google Analytics and move from Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4, and again, Universal won't go away just by setting up Google Analytics 4. You'll be able to access both sets of data. But note that when you do set up your Google Analytics 4, information in Google Analytics 4 will only be available from the time that you've set it up forward. So you're not going to have historical data, and which is why you want to keep your Universal Analytics at hand. So in order to do that, you're going to go into settings under Universal Analytics, and that's the admin, the little gear down at the bottom. And then in the middle section, you're going to look for the GA4 Setup Assistant. If you aren't able to use the GA4 Setup Assistant, you can simply go to the link that I've listed here, support.google.com/analytics. And that'll give you all the details that you need in order to set up a new Google Analytics 4 property. Again, reminder that doesn't delete Universal Analytics, but it does add the ability to start using Google Analytics 4 and start getting familiar with the content and the properties therein. One other note, I don't talk about it in detail here, but if you are going to switch over to Google Analytics 4, one thing that you're going to want to get comfortable with is Google Tag Manager. And simply search for Google Tag Manager in your in Google in order to learn more about it. But it simply sets up specific measurements inside of Google Analytics and helps you approach that by setting specific tags. And that just gives you information in order to lock in. You probably see behind me, I run an organization, a web design and marketing agency called BusyWeb in my non-Google speaking time. And this is one of the things that all of our clients, several hundred clients, are working on quite a bit right now. So make sure that you're playing with it, that you've got Google Analytics 4 set up so that you can start messing around with it and getting comfortable, but also learn Google Tag Manager, because that's going to be your other best friend. And we're going to have more detail about that in an upcoming event. Fantastic questions. If we don't have any other questions, I am going to let us go here. But if you do have specific questions, again, now is the time. Remember that there is a recording of this that's going to be published. And if you've registered for today's event, you're going to get it automatically, but it's also available at Grow Nebraska's YouTube channel. And I would love to see you at an upcoming event. We do have on September 1st, or September 7th, Sell Online with e-commerce tools. And then October 5th is Use YouTube to grow your business. November, I believe, I think it's November 2nd is Digital Skills. Yep, Digital Skills for Everyday Tasks. And then in December, our last one of the year with Grow Nebraska and our partners there is Design Thinking for Entrepreneurs. This is a brand new presentation that we've just launched, and it's how to design your website for best results. I have a lot of other events coming up and that are published at busyweb.com/events. So if you have any other questions or want to sign up for other trainings or events, that's where you can do it. And I think we're all set for now. So thank you all for your time and attention. We have a ton of folks that are on with us, and we had one great question and lots of great information was shared. If you want to keep up with me, you can send me a note at dave@busyweb.com. That's BIZZYWEB. Otherwise, we will see you at the next Grow Nebraska or Beaver Dam Area Chamber of Commerce or JRE Center, Jamestown Regional Entrepreneur Center event. So stay up with all of our partners, and thanks again to our partners for making these events happen. Talk to you very soon. Thanks, everyone.